Yo, 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 and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ras. How you doing, boy?
Welcome. Good. I'm a bit tired. I think I'm kind of sad that summer's almost over. It's like a week and a half-ish left. So,
Yo, Awesome sent me a message last night that it was like 31 degrees in Canada.
yeah, there's
Like,
a heat
why
wave.
is it so hot, bro? Oh,
Is there-
damn.
yeah, like 31 feels like 38.
Yeah, I could imagine. Because you don't get a lot of breeze where you are as well, right?
Depends where you are, but like Canada or where I am, it does, you see the lake effect to a certain
Yeah.
extent, but yeah, sometimes it's very dry, like still heat where like you're just like dripping in sweat.
Wait, what about the farm effect? Because I know, like, out where you are, like Kitchener, Waterloo, that you're surrounded by farms. Do you still get
Yeah.
that stinky smell from the farms?
Sometimes depends where you are in the city. Not where I am though, not where I live, but like depends where you can be. Some areas, like there also used to be like a big dump there, so when you drive by, you can still kind of smell like
Oh,
residual
true.
garbage smell.
This is beautiful content that we're telling people. Yo, so how do you keep cool during hot days then? You have any tips?
I stay inside.
Oh man. By the way, the test series between Pakistan and West Indies, I think, ended in a draw. You guys
Yeah.
ended up winning today by like 109 runs.
Yeah, man. They're the batsman Fad Alam. He's probably one of my favorite batsmen, just because
Yeah.
like he's been shafted so much from the organizations, from the team, from everyone, right? But then whenever he shows up, like just like, and you just watch him bat, and it's so fun to just watch him bat. His footwork, sometimes he's like halfway across like one end of like one corner of the pitch to then like as the ball's coming up, he'll like, slowly creep up to it and move towards the wicket. Like it's really fun to kind of watch that. But yeah, after the first one, I really thought it would be like, whoa, like we essentially lost we almost won like a lost test match. So like that was a good sign, but bounced back pretty well in the second one.
Yeah, Babar is annoyingly consistent. Like he's really, really good. And Shaheen, I think, got like a 10-wicket haul in this match as well. Got like man of the series or something, right? 18 wickets across the entire series.
Yeah, I think I saw a graphic where like under 21 with like being under the age of 21 and the number of wickets you got, he's in the same conversations as Saqlain Mustaq, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus. So good signs.
Big things
good
coming
signs.
then. Big things.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're actually a Fan Tracks podcast, so welcome to the Banter Boys podcast. We're recording on Tuesday night, August the 24th. Before we get started though, Ross, you want to plug us quickly?
Yeah, for sure. So you can message us on Twitter, Instagram, our handles at BanterB, on Discord under the Draft PL channel, Banter Boys, #6585 on Reddit, u/Banter_boys. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and on YouTube, all under the name of Banter Boys.
Yeah, so quick layout as usual for what we're going to talk about. We'll have two halves. First half, we're going to do quick data dump, just casually catch up in our leagues, like, how our results went, etc. We have some Twitter questions as well, so we'll run through those. And then in the second half, we're going to run through injury updates, and then we will suggest some, hot FA/waiver picks. Ross, you realize my accent got a lot thicker since I moved back home for the past year, boy?
Yeah, that makes sense, you're just with your people. So
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if they listened to last season, it would be like a completely different person.
I can still understand you for now, so it's not as your English accent isn't like, so much more Trinidadian yet. So
Yeah. As long as you understand me, that's all that matters, right? Okay, let's jump quickly now into the pod.
Ay, 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 ay. Fantasy with the Banta boys.
The data dump. We're looking at key passes, shots, and accurate crosses into the box. So when we look at key passes, guess which player topped this game week, Russ? Just take a guess,
T-Baby.
Of course, with 7 key passes. The second highest number was 5 from 4 players: Marcus Alonso, Bowen, Ruben Neves, and Matt Ritchie. A player that we shouted heavily in the preseason pods. And then the next tier was 4 key passes from a list of players: Pascal Gross, Reece James, Raul Jimenez, Mason Mount, Adama Traore, and Tsimikas. Your boy replaced Robbo real nice, yo. And we took your advice. We brought in Tsimikas on the FPL squad and he got us a clean sheet and an assist.
Yeah, told you, man. Told you.
I always trust you, man, and it always pays off, Alright, so now we're looking at shots and how many of those were on target. Big Romeo led the way this game week with 8 shots, 2 of them on target. Antonio, right behind him, he attempted 7 shots, had 4 of them on target. And then the next tier, with 6 shots each, Rafinha had 2 of them on target, Mane had 4 of them on target. And then we look at one more tier, 5 shots attempted, Richarlison had 0 of those on target, Greenwood had 1 of them on target, Raul Jimenez had 0 of them on target, Salah had 2 of them on target, and then Ivan Toney also had 2 shots on target out of 5 shots total. So finally, we look at the accurate crosses into the box, and as always, the reliable T-Baby with 4 accurate crosses into the box. And then the next tier was Adama Traore with 3. Adama smashed it again this game week.
Can I just say, if you look back at the key passes, 5 by Neves, 4 by Jimenez, 4 by Traore. That's 14 key passes and 0 goals.
Yeah,
Spurs, I watched the game though. Spurs got so lucky. So lucky.
Okay, but I think you are also a Hugo Lloris owner in one of your leagues, right?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. It was good. He had a key pass and everything. Clean sheet, 10 saves or whatever, right? It was good. But I'm just saying, 14 key passes and 0 goals. Come on.
I mean, Adama missed another easy one-on-one again.
Yeah, again, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I looked at the match of the day highlights, and I don't think Jimenez is quite 100% in terms of tactics. He's not in the box to finish the chances. They're creating opportunities, but there's no one in the box waiting, which, Jimenez used to kind of do.
Yeah. And there was that one chance which was almost quintessential Wolves type play with Jimenez kind of trying to finish the box, but he just shot it over the net. It was a pretty good build up.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a header or something, and he didn't head the ball. He tried to control it in the box and attempt to shoot. It's weird, man. I think you might need to maybe owners be a bit more patient with him. Give him a bit more time.
Yeah, he's been out for 7 months, 8 months, right? Obviously,
the doctors said it was a miracle he's even playing football.
So, bit risky, but also a bit he's a bit rusty. So, I'm okay with, he's still contributing to the team, which you kind of see, he's still contributing positively. I guess it's just a matter of, when he starts scoring, I feel then he'll be, on fire.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now I think we can do a quick catch up in our leagues. How are you doing in your leagues? Did you have any wins this game week?
I won both my games. So it's only the second game week, but so in the OG league, Pep was up to his Pep things. So Sterling benched. I ended up dropping Neves for Ferran Torres. Regretted it, within 20 minutes when I was after the game, I'm just well, Ferran Torres only ended up with 3 points or whatever. And Neves ended up with 19 points with, 5 key passes and X number of crosses and, just Neves doing Neves things.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, it was an interesting question when you messaged the Banter Boys admin group and you were asking us who should you drop, etc. And I think what were the options at the time? It was either drop Neves, NDD, Castagne, or was there one more
Aubameyang.
person? Yes.
You guys mentioned Aubameyang, which I'm like, Aubameyang's too big of a player to just drop.
Yeah. I know it's wildness, but I mean, we spoke from a place of pain, lots and lots of pain.
I've had Aubameyang, but it was his first season in the Prem, so he was on fire at that point. So
yeah, that is true. Okay, well, I mean, in my leagues, again, another perfect week, another 2 more wins. I'm currently first in my IGL league, 3 points clear already, which was shocking to me. I'm currently third in the community league table. Not bad for a D plus grade, eh, Ross?
Yeah. You know what? Solid. 2 out of 2. Just don't get too cocky with that D plus grade, man.
Oh, I'm definitely going to lose this game week because I'm facing Andres, and Andres is currently first in that table. So the streak is definitely going to come to an end. I did want to mention one thing though. Oh, wait, before I get to that thing that I want to mention, the quick moves that I kind of made this game week that kind of helped seal my win, and it's something that we suggested during the last episode in terms of like being able to stream those sure clean sheets, like we looked at Man City and Liverpool. So I managed to pick up Laporte very, very quickly as an FA in both of those leagues. And you know what? He came back and gave me a clean sheet and a goal to boot, right? I think he was like one of the third or fourth best scoring Man City player for that game week. And then I brought in Bissouma on waivers this morning. But yeah, the thing I wanted to mention and run through with you is a couple of trades that are sitting in my inbox right now. And I wanted your opinion on it. So the first one is I got offered by Robbie actually, and it's still sitting in my inbox. I've not rejected these trades. I mean, you guys need to be careful about that, because if an injury comes and I hit accept, how would you consider that? Is that like not collusion, but is it bad mind? Like
it's just poor sportsmanship or poor sports peopleship, right? Yeah. That's how I see it. But it is fully within the confines of the game, but it's just a dick move to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the trade that Robbie offered was he was giving me 20 Fab and Cresswell for Virgil van Dijk.
Ooh.
How you feel about that? Would you take that?
Putting
your Liverpool bias aside.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think the biggest reason was like you picked Virgil van Dijk third, right? That was your third pick.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think if you don't take into realization that Van Dijk's injury and everything, then I think that's a really good pick. But kind of considering, well, it's like, it's his number one, it's his first, get back against 8 months, 9 months, whatever that looks like. In keeping that in regards, it is more risky, but he looks solid. Against a very physical Burnley team, he looked on point. Like, the partnership was there between him and Matip. The calmness of the game, his ability to kind of ping long balls, it was there. So I think I personally see Van Dijk as a tier 1 defender at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's constantly getting goal side from set pieces. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and he's not hesitant to shoot either, yo.
Exactly. I saw some of his training videos and stuff like that. But yeah. Cresswell is on all set pieces, essentially. Maybe Jared Bowen takes a couple, but on all indirect free kicks, I've only seen Cresswell take them, maybe end a few corners. So it's a matter of what you value.
Yeah. Interesting that you bring up the set piece and corners, because I think in the game versus Leicester, West Ham had 10 corners, Leicester had 0, and I think Bowen took 8 of them. Yeah. Cresswell took 1, Soufal took 1. So he might be off the corners, right? Yeah. A little bit. The problem is I don't trust Cresswell's hamstrings. They go out every season.
And that's one thing. And the other thing is clean sheet with a defender. You're always looking at clean sheet probability, right?
Yeah.
You've got one of the best center backs in the world versus a pretty good fullback on a not so for the past couple of games, they conceded 2 goals to Newcastle and they conceded a goal from Leicester, who were already 10 men at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Very good point. Yeah.
So, putting those things into consideration, I would kind of like keep my money or put my money still on Van Dijk.
Even with Kurt Zuma possibly, well, I think it might be confirmed by now, moving to West Ham.
But Kurt Zuma isn't like, he won't get you automatic clean sheets, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, he's a good defender, right? Which is what they kind of lack, right?
Yeah, he's a solid center back, I think, but he's not, I don't know, like, I don't think he's gonna be like, your defense will improve significantly. I think he's just a beast in the air, and that's something that a team like West Ham needs, right? So...
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Let's move on to the next trade as well. In my other league, so the manager requested that I give him Ivan Toney with $5 fab for Patrick Bamford. So he's offering me Patrick Bamford. He wants my Ivan Toney, and he wants me to pay him 5 fab.
That's how do you determine that? Like, how did you come to the valuation that like Ivan Toney plus $5 is equal to Patrick Bamford?
I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Patrick Bamford is like, obviously he's a really good finisher, but he's also very, like, I've noticed, penalty dependent. Sometimes he'll be completely silent and then he'll score a penalty and he'll be worth it for that week.
I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. He had a real good season last season, but so far at the start, like the highlights that I've seen of the game time, I don't know. I've not been that impressed. And then again, like Leeds are still not up and running completely, right? It's only 2 game weeks in, right? So maybe it could change. He did get the assist, right? For the click goal. As well versus Everton.
Yeah, he did.
And Ivan Toney hasn't gotten any attacking returns yet. But I mean, he's kind of still keeping up with the ghost points. That's the good thing.
Yeah, that's what I think. Bamford is very hit or miss in that regards, right?
Yeah.
So
okay. Cool. All right. I just wanted to discuss those trades. Now I think, what's up? You want to mention something?
Yeah. Well, I've got, now that you've kind of brought up trades, I've got a couple of trades because I have in my Banter Boys league both Cleek and Calvin Phillips, and I offered for both of them. It seems people want Calvin Phillips more than Matthias Cleek, which I guess so. Even though Matthias Cleek has had a better start to the season.
Debatable. His first game was shit. His second game was better, and he got taken off earlier in the better performance game. So,
one I got offered Højbjerg for Calvin Phillips, and I was like, Second, I got offered Naby Keita for Calvin Phillips, and I was like, What do you think about both of them?
Well, I mean, you probably know Naby's opportunity to play better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that Højbjerg is a bit more nailed in Spurs than Naby is for Liverpool. Yeah, is my guess, right? And
I agree. Yeah,
I mean, there's always the chance that, based on the system that Nuno's kind of rolling out, that Højbjerg could feed one of the front three of Son, Bergwijn, or Lucas Moura, right?
It almost did happen.
Yeah, and I mean, Højbjerg racked up a good few assists in the Euros as well. He had a really good Euros, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you could let go your love of Liverpool, I would probably offer up Naby. I don't know.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I've been offered Naby or Højbjerg.
Wait. I'm confused now.
So I've offered up Cleek or Calvin Phillips.
Oh, you're trying to get Naby and you're trying to get Højbjerg. Oh.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm not trying though. They've been offered to me.
Okay.
So I put up, hey, does anyone want Matthias Cleek or Calvin Phillips? And the two different individuals offered. One offered Naby Keita, the other offered Højbjerg. So.
Oh, it's which one do you take between Naby and Højbjerg?
Or do I take either?
I think you could take Højbjerg.
For Calvin Phillips?
Oh. I mean, okay, if KP is not on the set pieces and stuff, then yeah, I would. I mean, are you playing with like ball recoveries and stuff like that?
No, this is Banter Boys League.
Yeah, so maybe go with KP. Oh, that's a tough one, man. Yeah, that's a tough one. What is your gut telling you?
Now that you mentioned like Højbjerg's increasing attacking involvement, yeah, like Højbjerg for Calvin Phillips does make a bit more sense.
Because I just feel like Naby's prone to rotation.
Yeah, like that's the only thing. Like Naby's prone rotation, injury prone. Højbjerg played 38 games, all starting all of the games, playing 0 to 90 every game.
Yeah, we learned that in the pub quiz, I think, right?
Exactly. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
So okay, all right. That kind of clears it up a bit. I'm leaning towards Højbjerg. I like Kleek, but I no one picked him up. But and he's on penalties too, sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, if you have any doubts, we've got this amazing account in our community, I think Draft Answers. We could just send him a friendly message, ask him to set up a poll for you, and we could ask the community what they think as well. And maybe, before you make a decision, you could see what the people are saying.
All right. That's possible too as well.
Okay, sweet. I think now we can move on to our Twitter questions. Ross, can you pull them up?
Oh, for sure. First question we have from no one. Their name is no one. At Chirag Verma. Is Stuart Armstrong droppable?
Well, I mean, Southampton started the same lineup, I believe, for both games, right? And Oriol Romeu is fit, so I don't think he's going to replace him or Ward-Prowse in that middle. So he's kind of playing for the attacking positions where I think Genepo started one of those, and I'm trying to remember who's the other one he started with, boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you could afford to drop Armstrong because I don't know, there might be like other midfielders that you can kind of stream as well.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that one? Because I mean, Armstrong is, on his day, he's a beast, right? And we know he can score a good goal. Like he's got that good finish on him.
Yeah, but you're right. Like rotation prone is definitely concerned. One bad game and you can be dropped off. You know that there will always be a Armstrong replacement on the bench. So if Armstrong is having a bad day, he might not even play the full 90. Right, he'll play the 70, the 65 minutes, whatever, right? So,
and we're talking about Stu, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Stu.
Adam,
yeah, we're
because
talking
they
about
have
Stu.
two of them now.
Yeah. They're not brothers, as far as I know.
Wait, are you sure?
Armstrong's a pretty common name.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I think he's droppable.
Yeah, same.
But you know what? To be honest, depending on how many players that you play in, so in what I've noticed in a 12 person. Is that midfielders are very hard to come by.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So, as long as he's starting, it might be a good option to kind of have him and like play him, kind of like make the best, like, okay, he's playing up against this team, it might be easier, or playing up against that team and it might be difficult, I can bench him. So that's the only consideration, is that like, sometimes he is very inconsistent in like how often he kind of provides, even in terms of ghost points. But midfielders are harder to come by. It's what I've been noticing, these two in both a 10-person and a 12-person league.
Yeah, quality like ghost points providing mid for sure. Yeah. All right. But I think our like general consensus is you could drop him.
Yeah.
You should be able to get by. Okay, next question.
Yeah, thank you, Chirag, for asking. Next question we have.
Thank you, Chirag.
From Brandon at Brisbane Brando. Top low owned targets for ghost points for the next 6 weeks. Ooh, next 6 weeks. There's an international break in between, by the way. Oh, this should be really important news. I feel like we should mention this. So before it was said that there's an international break coming up next week, right? Or in the next couple of weeks. And
after game week 3.
After game week 3. And for players who might be going on red listed countries, so that means where COVID is still very much a big issue. It's a big issue regardless, but like some places where it's a lot severe, when players come back, they'd have to quarantine. So the Premier League statement, the Premier League put out a statement saying that like the Premier League managers got together and are holding players from traveling on international duty if red listed countries are on their travel itinerary. So, for example, I'll give you Liverpool. It's a really good example. They're holding back Salah. They're holding back the Brazilian players because if they have to come back, they have to quarantine for 10 days, right? And they're gonna make sure they're not allowing these players to travel. So, that kind of brought up being like, okay, like, that was a concern, but it's no longer a concern anymore. We don't know what the backlash of like the FAs will be and like FIFA would be at this point, because it's also like a money thing for them, right? All their players can't come, or all their big names can't come. So like keep in track of that, but that's the latest news about that.
Yeah, that's a great point. That happened earlier today as well. Yeah, great reminder.
Yes.
But I mean, back to Brandon's question. I know we're going to talk about, like, as we always do, under 50% owned options that you could kind of pick up as an FA or like waiver them in for your Thursday window. I mean, if we quickly look at the list in terms of like low ownership percentage, like from the ones I have written down, a couple that I'll throw out right now is MacArthur 5% owned, Gallagher 15% owned, Josh King 8% owned. He put up 8 points, I think,
9
in
points.
just the limited time.
Yeah, like 20
just
minutes.
the limited time he came on as a sub. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like 3 key passes or something.
Something wild, so yo. He looked like he was really involved in the attacking, like final third and all that sort of stuff. Livermento as well. I know like a lot of his points kind of came through the interceptions, but in the second half, Hasenhüttl tweaked his system and went into a back three, and Livermento pushed into like a right wing back position. And interesting to note is Kyle Walker-Peters came on as a sub and moved on to the left hand side, and Livermento stayed on the pitch, right? Listen, this kid was like one of the best academy players we had. You could see it when he plays. He almost even created a goal scoring opportunity as well during that game. So only 6% owned. He could be a gem moving forward, right? Ross, what about on your list if you want to quickly shout out like those low owned ones?
I'm sorry. Martin Odegaard is a free agent in one of my leagues, and I'm just about to pick him up.
People paid like 100 fab for Odegaard in one of my leagues.
I have 3 Arsenal players now, so that's maybe a bit overkill, but
Ooh.
Martin Odegaard, they just paid 30 million for him, 40 million for him, man. Like, man should start, so.
I cannot believe he's free. Wait, is this in our OG league?
That's in our OG league, bro.
Oh my god, shame on all of you guys. This is why I left the league. Y'all real trash.
It was a pretty quiet transfer, like waiver window, but yeah. So on your point on like ownership numbers, let me pull it up. Ones I think you've highlighted, James MacArthur is a really good one. I honestly think keep streaming like Man City defenders.
Yeah.
Laporte maybe might not leave, right? 17% owned only.
Yeah.
Mateo Kovacic, also super low, kind of. I would say anything under 40 is low, right? To kind of keep an eye out for.
Okay.
So I think that's a really important one. Here, this is mine. Jordan Henderson. He's coming back. He looked really well. He's gonna be involved in the attack. And he loves playing against Chelsea. Against Chelsea.
Yeah. We'll get to that fixture discussion just now, don't worry.
Yeah.
But I like some other shouts that you had. Craig Dawson, 10% owned. He had like 4 shots versus Leicester. He really should have scored in that game.
100%.
Yeah, he might score versus Crystal Palace because Tony had 2 glorious heading opportunities that he fluffed both or something like that.
Exactly.
Like one came off his shoulder and shit like that. So yeah, I think, Craig Dawson might be worth a punt for this game week as well. But you know what? We'll cover all the suggestions for picks and stuff in the second half of the pod. So just keep listening, Brandon. Thank you so much for your question though, bro. Love your support.
Yep. Thanks, Brandon.
And I think on that note, Ross, we can probably take our halftime pint, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go grab my beer as usual, get your sparkling water. And listeners, we'll be right back after the break. And we are back. So did you message the OG group and chat some shit?
Yeah, I was like, wow, like Odegaard was free. So like maybe, I don't know, like, so this morning there's only 2 pickups. Someone picked up Demarai Gray and I picked up Neves.
Of course.
Yeah, I spent $11 fab on him, but I was like, I really want this guy on my team.
For sure.
So I feel like I could have picked him up on a free too with how quiet the window was. But I just picked up Odegaard. I dropped NDD. I was
that's an interesting one.
I wasn't going to keep too many mids.
Yeah.
I have Ferran Torres and Raheem Sterling, and I feel like there might be kind of some rotation going on there.
Yeah.
So, I have both, and I was like, I have Aubameyang, Tierney, and Martin Odegaard.
You basically have the entire Arsenal attack.
Yeah, so let's see if like Aubameyang starts. If not, I'll put him on like the chopping block and see if anyone wants to trade for him.
Offer him to Zayn. Doesn't Zayn love Aubameyang?
Zen probably does love Aubameyang, especially after last season. So.
Oh man. Okay. Now we will run through like some injury updates, and again, the information that we take is from the Premier Injuries website. The injury guru himself, Ben Dinnery. Ben, if you listen to the pod, we love you, bro. We love your work, and you know what? You're always welcome to jump on the pod and come co-host and chat some shit with us.
Injury guru, right? That's what he calls himself?
Well, I call him injury guru. I hope he does too. Like, call himself. He really is, though.
Yeah.
And also, like, if Ben doesn't have the most updated information, Fantrax does a great job at updating status for players and stuff. Like, they had more recent updates than Ben. So, kind of maybe do a combination of both, which is what we have for this segment. So, let's start. Arsenal. So, Gabriel is progressing well. He's back in training with the squad ahead of the Wednesday Cup match, which is, tomorrow, etc. Lacazette back in full training ahead of the Cup match. Ben White unlikely to be ready for and fit for the game versus Manchester City because he's been out with COVID, right? And it'll take a little bit of time to kind of get back up to 100% speed. Bellerin apparently is training ahead of the cup match as well, but I would not be picking up Bellerin. Bellerin is a, Arsenal fans, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, Tierney. Training in full after suffering cramps in his thigh.
Yeah.
In the Sunday loss versus Chelsea. And you know what? I saw managers dropping Tierney in leagues. I cannot believe it.
Yeah. For a moment, so with Tierney, you told me at the start of the season, you questioned my Tierney pick, and you were just like, aren't you afraid he might get injured? And I was like, man, like, I think he's a solid pick, though. And then when he got injured, I was like, Sanji's probably, laughing it up. Being like, ha ha ha, Ross told you. But you know what? It was just cramps.
Yeah, a little bit of that, kind of floats in my head. But you know what? After his game week 1 performance, it's like, how do you not pick him up, right? So if you had to place a value like Fab, how much would you be bidding on a player like Tierney?
33.
33? Okay, all right. I put like a certain amount. I'm not gonna say because my opponents might be listening to the Banter Boys podcast. So hey, don't go pick up Tierney, eh? Okay, all right. Aston Villa now. Bertrand Traore, he's coming back from a hamstring injury. He should be back after the international break. Ollie Watkins, I saw the comment that Dean Smith is hopeful for Brentford, and we all know how Dean Smith was hopeful for Grealish all of last season. So I'm not sure how much to believe Dean Smith, okay? But I'm just gonna chalk it up to Ollie's gonna be back after the international break. Bailey, tight hamstring in training. So like everyone was like real hyping up on Bailey. Oh, he's so exciting, But I mean, now we kind of notice the pace of the Premier League is different, right? It takes time for players to fully adjust, right? So just want to watch and see. Don't be dropping Bailey now, obviously, right? Even though El Ghazi got 2 goals, 2 assists in the cup route earlier today, but yeah, just don't drop Bailey. Just watch and see. Anyways, Brentford, Matthias Jensen could be back versus Villa, right? He just needed some time to catch up on training, etc. And I saw like an interesting note on the Fantrax update that apparently he started 71 matches in the last 2 seasons, right? And when we did our preseason stuff, we know that he was one of the chief creators for Brentford, right? And I mean, maybe that's what Ivan Toney needs to kind of unlock the goal scoring potential that he has.
Yep.
For Brighton now, Veltman should be back after the international break. He was isolating due to close contact with someone with COVID. And, again, you need that time to kind of build back that fitness, come back to full speed. Welbeck and Lamptey, both possibly also back after the international break. I think they were both pictured with the ball in training pitches. It's just to build that fitness. But my problem is that both of them reoccurring similar injuries for them, So, how are you feeling about that? Would you, rush to pick them up or is a wait and see?
Lamptey, I'm surprised he's like, well, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised. I'm happy he's back though, because it was a big injury for him and he was out for a while.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it was one of those things where it was 1 week he was injured, next week he was fine, and then he just was out for like the rest of the season. So, I am hopeful in the sense that like, hopefully he got good enough rehab over the summer, over the last few weeks to kind of like, make sure. And knowing Potter and knowing his like, man management skills, hopefully he can like, give them good transition time, because like, Lamptey's still really young. Danny Welbeck, on the other hand, I'm iffy on, but like Lamptey's still really young. So I'm still hopeful of like, Lamptey would be able to kind of like, come back to the same form he was at when he wasn't injured last season, before he got injured last season.
By the way, did you notice Potter's beard and how amazing it is?
Potter grew a beard?
Potter has a full-fledged beard, bro. He's Harry Potter now.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Honestly, you'd be proud. You'd be very, very proud. And Ross, you know we love our beards, right? We discuss our beard maintenance and stuff off air, So, but continuing with the Brighton's injury stuff, we know Mbappe came off at halftime with possible shoulder injury, but the good thing is apparently he doesn't need shoulder injury, and it's considered a late fitness test for the match against Everton, right? So, which is great news, because I believe he has 2 goals in 2 games, and he was one of those players that he had so many opportunities last season, like goal scoring opportunities, and he fluffed them, right? So maybe this season, Mbappe might actually put away his chances, right? Moving on, Burnley, nothing to report really. With Chelsea, Pulisic was out because of COVID protocols. He tested positive. So, keep an eye on that. I don't know if he'll be back for the Liverpool game, but, don't be dropping Pulisic because of COVID. Like, come on, guys, Let's be sensible out there. Crystal Palace, Olise could be back after the international break, just building fitness, etc. By the way, I don't think Milivojevic is going to be playing for Crystal Palace this season. It just keeps popping up. He has personal reasons.
Maybe run in with the manager. Like, it is a new manager, new system, right? So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
We don't know. It's only conjecture at this point, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's probably good news for the likes of MacArthur and Gallagher, right? 2 of the options that we're going to talk about a bit later on. Everton. James has quote-unquote COVID. Russ, I know you drafted him, bro. What's your plan with him?
Let's just see, bro. Like I feel like they're not gonna like, be like he has COVID. And like the flag on Fantrax was also like, gone from like a broken flag to like just a red flag.
Oh man, your hope for him is like so admirable, like admirable.
Yeah, but like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna drop him just because like I want to at least see it out, right? If he's gonna like leave the club, okay, leave the club. Apparently, Stephen Bruce wanted him at Newcastle.
Yo, could you imagine, bro? That would be crazy. Oh man. Okay. Moise Keane also, he picked up a red card in the cup game, so he's not going to be available for that reason, but I don't think he was going to start in the EPL regardless. Leeds. So I wrote this down, not because I suggest you go pick him up as an asset, but just because of how funny it was written on the Premier Injuries website. Koch has a pain in his pubis. Yeah.
I feel like Ben Dinnery did that on purpose.
Maybe. He's a funny guy, Moving on to Leicester. Jose Perez picked up a red card in that game versus West Ham. Unlucky, unfortunate. What do you think about that decision?
It wasn't on purpose, but it was dangerous play. And on that, I think it was a red card. Yeah, he was pushed. Yeah, he was like kind of like trying to follow his step, but that was a dangerous play on Fornals. Like, there was a bit of a concern on Fornals' leg.
Yeah, it definitely was a leg breaker challenge. Like,
someone on our group said it best. It was an orange card.
Yeah.
Like,
could
go either way.
Exactly. And you know what? Things always look worse in slow motion, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Evans still managing that plantar fasciitis issue. Bertrand, COVID isolation. Vestergaard is an interesting one. Apparently, he overstretched in training and he felt a soreness in his knee. had a couple of scans and nothing shown up. So I wouldn't be in a rush to drop Vestergaard because Amate and Soyuncu are really terrible as a pair. Like, I don't see how Vestergaard doesn't play for them.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Liverpool, Milner had a knock and he missed that last game. Any updates on that, Ross?
No, I haven't heard anything. He was in the bench, like he was like with the team, so it might just be how you say it perfectly, niggles.
Yeah. Okay. And Ox, personal reasons. What's up?
He is now a father.
Yo,
Congratulations.
we gotta drop a horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations to new dads out there. One of my boys, actually, someone I graduated in undergrad with, Surya. Surya, I don't think you listen to the podcast, but congratulations on your new son, born on August the 21st. He called me while he was rocking him right before feeding. Yo, I'm at that age where everyone is having babies, man, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's up to you what you want to do, bro.
I want to adopt all the babies, yo. Okay. Looking at Manchester City, KDB is managing an injury, all right? Struggling to train. Went as top 5 pick in most drafts, I want to say. How would you feel as a KDB owner right now, boy?
It's a 38 game season, bro. Just chill.
Yeah,
he's one of your best players in the in the fantasy world. So just chill.
Yeah, you hear that, Dean Smith? We live in the fantasy world. So Foden should be back after the break as well. That's good news for people that drafted Foden super early in all those drafts. Moving on to Manchester United. Rashford's surgery was successful and the boy is already back in the gym, yo. What a beast.
GG Rashford.
Cavani, lacking in team training, football training, but apparently is looking after himself, though Greenwood looks like he can't be displaced at the moment, man. Unless, the PE teacher wants to play him in right back next. I don't know why this man adjusted the tactics for that second game week.
I don't know. Yeah, it was a bit weird because Pogba came back into like a midfield 3 or something, right? So
It was weird, man. I don't know what Ole is on, boy. Dean Henderson, back in trading, but just building up that fitness after being so long due to COVID. Moving on to Newcastle. Apparently, John Joe is now out for another 3 to 4 weeks. He recovered one calf, injured the other one.
Poor guy.
Yeah, Hayden almost made the Southampton game apparently, right? So he's kind of managing that knee situation. Unfortunately, Darlow is still out with COVID and apparently Dubravka's injury got infected. So he also is still out. So that probably means more minutes for Woodman. At Norwich and Southampton, no real updates, at least for, assets that we consider in our game. For Spurs, Romero, the update from August 22nd. So apparently in the training session, he didn't feel totally comfortable. So they kind of decided to kind of keep him off in a sense, kind of give him some treatment, etc. And there's a little bit of concern about Son. Apparently in the warm-up, he had a strange feeling, but he was okay to play in the game. I mean, wasn't Son the same guy that had a broken arm, scored 2 goals, and then missed 6 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I remember that.
What a trooper, yo. So, you know what? It's to be assessed. Moving on to Watford. João Pedro apparently is running in the gym again and should be working outside on the pitches next week. But again, where does he fit amongst all the millions of forwards that Watford signed this season? Because, look, Josh King came on as a sub and he looked amazing. So there's a chance Josh King might even start the next game. Who knows? Looking at West Ham, Masuaku's still managing the knee issue, but I think kind of correct what we had on the previous pod. We weren't aware at that time that he was playing for the under-23 squad as well, right? So maybe he might come back sooner as an option. You never know. And finally, with Wolves, the only thing I want to mention is Pedro Neto had a setback, so it's been pushed back to February. So, if you own him in leagues, I think you're safe to drop him. And go pick up Podence. Podence is back fit. He scored in the cup game tonight. So, one to watch.
Yeah.
All right, Ross. I think now we could run through the FA waiver picks, for the fixtures for the upcoming game week 3, right? So looking at the first fixture on the Saturday, Manchester City versus Arsenal, who you got?
Benji Mendy 41% and Aymeric Laporte 17%. I personally think Pep played Laporte and Gab Jesus and Bernardo Silva as like a showcase. Like, I want to sell these players. Look at what they can do. And they help make their team win 5-0, right? So I still think they're on their way out. But at the same time, if Laporte's starting, he's a pretty solid defender and high clean sheet chances, even if he's going up against Arsenal. So
didn't Pep say some quote about he's one of the best left-footed ball-playing centre-backs from the back or something like that? And I don't know if that's just him trying to increase the market price.
Yeah, and it's such a niche way to describe a player, right? Like, so many filters. How many actually ball-playing left-footed centre-backs are there? So
Pep just being Pep, Yeah. Okay, the asset I'm going to suggest, and painfully suggest, I want to say, is Granit Xhaka. I mean, not the most loved Arsenal player, I'll say, but at 17% owned, he kind of put up some good ghost points. But the problem is now, he's playing against Man City. Man City's going to have a lot of the ball, and, Xhaka is always susceptible to that red card.
Yeah. So... Right? Huge grain of salt.
yeah, massive. All right, let's move on to the next game, and a bunch of these games are all at the same time. Also, before we continue, how good does it feel to have games on at the same time, multiple notifications?
Like, I don't know if I like the one game at us in one slot sort of thing, right? Games would go on forever.
I mean, the only stressful part about having all these games at the same time is having to go through 8 to 10 lineups and trying to find the players you want to pick up as a free agent, right?
Yeah.
It's quite an adrenaline rush. But yeah, Aston Villa versus Brentford. Ross, who do you have?
The only actual regular starter that's under 50% owned is Konsa. So, 41% owned. Keep an eye out. If you actually need a defender, maybe go pick him up. But again, they are going up against Brentford, so we don't know how fluent their kind of attack is, right? They couldn't score any goals against Crystal Palace, for example. So, possible clean sheet opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, and the players I'm going to suggest from Brentford, speaking of clean sheets, who've had back-to-back clean sheets, and the assets I'm going to suggest have all seen an increase in ownership, right? More so Pinnock and Raya are over 20% increases. So yeah, Pinnock 44% owned, Raya the goalkeeper 39% owned, Janssen, or I hope I'm not butchering that name, 4% owned, and Rico Henry 23% owned. So now I've got some asterisks at Pinnock and Janssen because their points over the last 2 game weeks weren't really that consistent. One was really, really inflated, the other one was kind of low, and again, they got clean sheets, right? So it seemed like the ghost points weren't really there for both Janssen and Pinnock in one of the matches. But, yeah. I mean, Rico Henry, attacking wingback, got a couple of key passes in his last match. I think he came up with 16 points, including the clean sheet. So maybe he has that ghost points potential, right? So keep an eye on Rico. Moving on to the next game, Brighton versus Everton.
I've got Shane Duffy, the goal scorer from this past weekend, 31%. McAllister's been putting up consistently good ghost points this past game, and who's 6% owned, and Yves Bissouma, 48%.
Yeah, boy, Yves killed it this game, boy. Looked great. I wavered him in, so hopefully he maintains that form. From Everton, I'm going to suggest Doucouré, 33% owned, Demarai Gray, 19% owned, and Iwobi, 6% owned. Now, with Doucouré, you have to notice that his points, both game weeks had attacking returns in them, right? So the ghost points weren't really there. And again with Iwobi, I think he got an assist off the bench or something in game week 1, but then got subbed early in the second game week, and he scored less points in that sense. So, I mean, he scored in the cup game today, right? So maybe he has a bit more confidence and maybe he gets more minutes under Rafa. But Demarai Gray is the one that I would highly suggest going for. I think he has some great chemistry with DCL. possibly being rotated with Andros Townsend. So, I mean, you might want to keep an eye out for that. He could be benched randomly. But, you know what? Townsend started the cup game tonight. Demario on the bench. And Townsend scored as well, right? So, it's a situation to monitor for sure. Next game, Newcastle versus Southampton.
Again, the same two picks. Jacob Murphy and Matt Ritchie, both 26%. Jacob Murphy didn't have that great of a game against Aston Villa. That's who they played? Who'd they play?
We should know this, right?
But Matt Ritchie had a pretty solid game. Again, same sort of idea. Key passes, crosses into the box, attack, very attacking wing back. So against Southampton, which is more of like their level of football that they're playing, I expect both players to kind of also kind of show up, or at least kind of provide to the attacking strength of Newcastle.
And I'm pretty sure this is the second time we've mentioned Matt Ritchie's name, even in our data dump at the start of the pod, right? He's getting those key passes, yo. So it blows my mind that he's still only 26% owned, especially this season, like you mentioned, where midfielders are very, very hard to find, right? So if he's free in your league, yo, go pick him up, man. Ghost points machine. From Southampton, Adam Armstrong, 49% owned, so there's a chance you might have missed out on him. He looks really, really sharp, man, and possibly good chemistry with Che Adams. I think he has a great finish on him as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got maybe around 10 goals this season. The other player I want to suggest is Livramento, 6% owned, right? This kid seems to have nailed that right back / right wing back position, right? And if Hasenhüttl ends up playing the back three more than just the back two, or back four, let's say, depends on how you look at it and your terminology, etc. Livramento could be quite a gem moving forward, man. And you know what? For those who play FPL, he's only 4 million, so good price, you know. Moving on, Norwich versus Leicester.
Again, kind of who you suggested last week. Leeds Milou, 15%. Some potential for ghost points, but like Norwich, I feel like we won't get a proper idea unless we see a more regular, not facing the last two champions and now Leicester in the third game, right? So they played Liverpool, they played City, and now they're playing Leicester. So I feel like hopefully in a couple of game weeks when their schedule does kind of ease, right? So we might see more of the strength from not just Les Milou, but Cantwell, Timo Pukki, who's that other one? Milo Rashica, all these players, right? So keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch the Man City Norwich game, they pretty much conceded 4 of the same exact play sort of goal, where it was basically the left back's fault of Norwich, right? And I think they might have subbed him out as well, something like that. And I mean, it should be noted, they just signed Brandon Williams from Manchester United, I think, on loan. So he might be the starting left back. Maybe that kind of fixes the issue a little bit. I mean, they beat Bournemouth tonight 6-0, right? So
yeah.
It was the exact kind of bounce back result they need to kind of have a bit of momentum in the Premier League, right? From Leicester, there's no one I'm really able to suggest, I think. I feel like most of the good players are owned. So if you have anyone, like we mentioned earlier, Vestergaard, don't drop them, hold on to them sort of situation. West Ham versus Crystal Palace, the next fixture.
Craig Dawson. I am pretty inclined to go put money saying that he's going to score against Crystal Palace.
And you don't even bet. So look at
that. I don't know. He got into some really good positions against Leicester. Surprisingly, just headers, skimming wide or just too much force on the header itself. And he was getting into some really good positions off of set pieces. So Craig Dawson might be scoring a goal. Hopefully not an own goal, but might be scoring a goal for his team, not against his team.
Yeah, 10% owned. And the players I'll suggest from Crystal Palace, Gallagher, 15% owned. 10 ghost points, yo. Nearly scored as well, right? In that game versus Brentford. He hit the crossbar. And MacArthur, 5% owned. This guy keeps getting the ghost points, yo. I think around 8 to 10 points in both games. And if Milivojevic is not going to be playing for Crystal Palace. That might mean more minutes for MacArthur.
Yeah.
All right, and moving on to the tasty fixture for Saturday, Liverpool versus Chelsea. I mean, before we talk about the assets, you want to chat a little banter, How you feeling moving into this game, boy?
I am looking forward to Lukaku versus Van Dijk.
And Matip.
Let's be honest.
And Matip.
And Matip, yeah. But, it will be a full-on wrestling match between, the one likes to hold up the ball, the other one likes to fully press on the ball, it will be a really good thing to watch if Liverpool can isolate Lukaku, which I don't think is that hard to do. But if you can do it, then I'm feeling pretty good about the game. It'll be at Anfield. Jordan Henderson loves playing against Chelsea, and and Robbo's back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We are full strength after a really, really long time. So I am looking forward to the game.
Yeah, that Anfield crowd is something else, yo. My only positive I could have taken, though, from the Burnley game is that you guys seem to struggle a little bit with that high press in the midfield, man.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, Harvey Elliott. Oh, that's the other one. Harvey Elliott's first game, and he was targeted by Burnley. He was go after Harvey Elliott. This guy's an 18-year-old, 5'7", weighs less than 100 pounds. Go after him, right? Held up his own for the most part. So I think it was some of those sort of things. We did mostly hold our own in that game. Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes were mostly kind of isolated. The partnership between Madeb, one going off and making sure, if there is, if Chris Wood or Ashley Barnes does win the aerial duel, kind of make sure that there's the other defender, stopping the ball there. Alisson, again, huge, presence in net and kind of, calming at the back. And, Jota, Mane, and Salah, I feel they're clicking really well too. And knowing that you can bring off Bobby off the bench, Thiago off the bench, maybe even Tsimikas off the bench when you need some of that more stability, or Konate or Joe Gomez if you're up super late as well. So I don't know. Let's see. I think it'll be a really, really good game. I'm glad Conte might still be injured, right? Let's see. So not glad that he's injured, just glad he's not playing again.
Hey man, you know how we berate Neeraj for celebrating injured players and stuff. I love that every time we talk about Neeraj, we kind of embarrass him a little bit. We love you, buddy. We love you, Nilu. But I mean, again, last point on the whole Liverpool Chelsea game. Again, if I have to take any positives, is that yes, Alisson had to be called upon in both the Norwich and Burnley game. He is the reason you guys ended up keeping the clean sheet, right? There were a couple of close
100%.
calls, right? So I think both teams can score in the game. Is just, whoever scores more goals wins the game.
Wins the game. So, what are you thinking? Well, Chelsea did go up against a semi-more difficult team in Arsenal, but the first game was against Crystal Palace, which was still, again, Liverpool went up against Norwich and Burnley, which aren't the prem, the top teams, right?
The creme de la creme, yeah.
The creme de la creme, right? So in that sense, Liverpool are still a bit untested this season, but Chelsea went up against Arsenal, but even though Arsenal are playing bad, it's still Arsenal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know, man. It's scary how well Lukaku fit in, how perfect it looked. Still early to say. Let's see, right? We all know that if you get to Jorginho, he has that sort of weakness in him. But, Kante seems to be fit again, and I expect maybe Kante to start over Kovacic.
Okay.
And Kovacic is who I'm going to suggest, right, as my pick at 37% owned. That's the perfect segue. So, yeah, I think... it's probably a watch and see. You could probably grab him as an FA if you're quick enough. But yeah, Ross, what about the Liverpool assets? You want to suggest anyone?
Jordan Henderson, 38% owned. Like I said, he loves playing against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think he had that one screamer, and even a few seasons back, he had a goal against them as well. But even in general, he always even remember that stare down with Diego Costa a few seasons ago?
Yeah, bro.
This is my turf. The other player is Naby Keita, 30% owned. I'm still gonna shout out this player. Last time he started against Chelsea, he scored a very number 8 Steven Gerrard-esque goal. So maybe we might see that again. I don't know.
Oh yes. All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. First one up, Burnley versus Leeds.
Ashley Barnes 4%. Even with going up against Matip and Alisson and Van Dijk, he still put up 12.5 points.
Yeah, that was crazy to see.
Yeah.
The player I'll suggest is Matthias Kleek, 30% owned. Again, it was a little strange. His first week game was shit. Second one, he got I think nearly 19 points or something like that. But he got subbed early. So you never know with Bielsa, right? So be a little careful with that. Spurs versus Watford the next game.
Bergwijn, 40%. Only if, if Kane doesn't actually start, I feel like Bergwijn's still going to keep starting. But if Kane does eventually start, I feel like Bergwijn's going to give way.
Yo, did you see that sick dribble that he did on that sideline versus Wolves?
Yeah. That was crazy.
We got to practice. It's one of those things you go back and you're like, let me practice this, yo. So let me try it in the game.
Yeah.
And I think you have one more, Tanganga, 30% owned.
Tanganga, 30% owned. Clean sheet potential mostly, but seems like he's the starting full right back over Matt Doherty. So
yeah, and again, I listen to Planet FPL pods quite a lot. James has mentioned regularly that he thinks that Spurs are going to sign another defender. So, keep an eye on that situation. And, we were kind of discussing it in the Banter Boys League group. I have a feeling like you should be able to stream any sort of Spurs defense, right? I feel like Nuno's kind of going to do a bit of rotation until Romero is back and fully fit.
Yeah.
So the players I'll suggest from Watford, Dennis, 49% owned. You might not be able to get him. He saw an increase of 44% ownership, right? I know Dennis, he didn't score versus Brighton, but he did have a good finish for one that was kind of ruled offside or called off or something like that. So, tidy player for sure. Josh King, though, 8% owned, came on as a sub, a 20-something, half an hour, maybe cameo, put up 8 ghost points, right? So if he gets a run of starts, run of games, he could be a possible gem. And finally, Wolves versus Manchester United.
Daniel Podence, 44% owned. He scored in the cup game today.
Yep.
So, good news. Marcel, 4% owned. And this is only because that, when I kind of saw him play against Spurs, because Wolves kind of dominated so much of that possession and so much of the attacking play, Marcel saw a lot of opportunities to put a ball in the box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, especially with, Jimenez possibly coming back, or not is back, but possibly looking to kind of obviously get a season off the mark. Marcel might be a good opportunity to kind of be providing assists.
Yeah, and on our last episode, I'm pretty sure he tied TA for 3 accurate crosses into the box, right? So yeah, definitely one to watch for sure. And I don't have anyone to suggest from United because I'm most fantasy players are probably Manchester United fans. But I did want to mention Varane now has an ownership percentage of 72%, an increase of 66.8%. They listen to the podcast clearly.
Yeah. Yes, that's what they wanted. That's what they were listening to.
They just needed the Banter Boys validation.
A World Cup winning, Champions League winning defender.
So, but I mean, he didn't start when Ole said, "Oh yeah, Sancho and Varane ready to start." You worried about that as an owner?
No, it's just a matter of how well they fit in the team, right? So,
I mean, how much better can you fit in than Lindelof?
I mean, it's kind of one of those things at the moment where Lindelof hasn't really given that much of a excuse to be dropped. So.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, his points were kind of shit in the last game, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, that is the FA Waiver Picks, and that is pretty much the end of the pod, I think. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Russ, do you have any final thoughts, final words?
I am looking forward to the Liverpool-Chelsea game this weekend.
Yeah.
First big game of the season.
Are we gonna like have a Google Meets thing on at the side? You know, watch it at the
I don't
same
know.
time.
Last time I said I am glad we are playing Chelsea this early because it will be a while before their team settles in, and I was right. Hopefully, it's still the same this time around as well.
You know what? I'm just hoping for a good game. Yeah, an entertaining game. I'll even take a goal scoring draw. You know, like a 2-2. Right?
Like a 2-2.
Salah can
okay.
Salah can get his brace, you know. He can break that record against us. Like he always loves scoring some random record thing against us, you know.
Yeah. You know what? He loves scoring against Chelsea. You're right. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be a good game. I think this season's top 3, top 4 race is going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
Super fun to watch.
Yeah. And on that note, listeners, if you have any questions, feel free to DM us on all the socials like Ross plugged at the start of the podcast. We're mostly on Twitter at BanterB. Ross, I think on that note we can sign off, mate. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.